Alright, this is a video that I have not done before, but should be interesting. So this is I've been thinking of this for a while. I've been thinking of doing a tier list video for a while now. So should be interesting. This is going to be a tier list on all the years that I've been alive in. So most of the like this isn't technically like I'm not going to consider these years good or bad based on like events and all that. So I'm only going to be putting down my personal view on them. So basically, I'm going to call them good and bad based on the stuff I did throughout that year. You know, because years are one of the most subjective things on the planet, and everyone has experienced different stuff throughout different years. So 1 minute. All right, so the top red sections are the years that I really love the most, like the ones that I like, and the ones that I would love to go back to, like the very top one, yeah, are the ones that I do love to go back to. These are the ones that were good, do want to go back to, but they did have a like tiny little they weren't really as good as the ones at the top. Basically, there's the okay section. These are the ones that I'm not too bothered with. Like they're not the ones that I'm okay with, but simultaneously not. And these two ones are the ones that I don't really want to go back to. Like the bottom one, I really don't want to go back to, and this one, the ones that I were mostly bad, but did have a few goods at the end. So yeah, I'm gonna ignore 2000, 2001, 2003, 2004, 2002 because I weren't alive in them years. So let's start off with my birth year, 2005. Now, I don't really have much to say about 2005, but considering that it's my birth year, I'm going to put it here. 2006, where's that? Yeah, this one was okay. Like, I don't, like, it wasn't bad or anything. I just don't really remember much from that year. So, yeah. 2007, I did have one memory where I went to a place in England called Butlins. So, that's the only thing I can remember from 2007. I had my first memory, and honestly, kind of nostalgic for it. So I'm gonna put it in Take Me Back. Then there's 2008. I had my first nightmare during this year, and even though it did scare me at the time, it doesn't really bother me these days. And so, where do I put this? I'll put it here. All right, now 2009. 2009 was an epic year. Like I remember a lot of stuff from 2009. Like I went to the cinemas for the very first time, and I watched Monsters vs Aliens, Night of the Museum, bloody yeah, I did watch the Alvin and Chipmunks movie, but I don't really want to talk about that film. But nonetheless, 2009 was like the most nostalgic year for when I was a kid. So I'm going to put that right at the top of 2007. 2010. This one was yeah, it did have a nostalgia for this one. I've got like 2000 and like I went to France into a place called Normandy, which was kind of cool. And then there was my favorite childhood show Octonauts that got released. Yeah, it was pretty cool. 2011, went to a new school this year and visited Wales for the first time and a few other bits and bobs. And yeah, I'm more nostalgic for this one. To be yeah, as saying that, no, I'll put that one behind 2009. 2012. Now this one was a cool year. Um, yeah. My second favorite movie of all time was released in this year, so I'm gonna put that there. Yeah. I'll just leave it there. Oh my God, 2013. 2013 was just an epic year, and honest to God, I'm gonna put 2013 behind 2009 because 2013, like, my favorite film of all time was released that year, and my little brother was born. I went to a new school, and yeah, a few other things. 2014. Now, 2014, this was a year that I did not really like to begin with because of a certain incident that happened in a holiday that I don't really want to talk about. But looking back on 2014, like it wasn't really as bad as I remembered. Like I did become a fan of stop motion, but because of that one bad incident, I'll just put it here. I'll put it in okay. Right, 2015. Now, 2015 was a lot better than 2014. Like, it's hard to describe 2015 because it was both a good year, but it wasn't really as memorable. Like, the only things I remembered from 2013 was 2015 was my 10th birthday and going to the USA for the first time. So I'll put this one. But the only problem that I have with 2015 is that it was kind of forgettable. Like, most of it was just forgettable. So yeah, I'll just put it here. Okay, 2016 now. I'm gonna say this right now. I did not like 2016. I was depressed, like very depressed throughout this entire year. Like me, I'm gonna say something that is a bit personal to me. Like, I was 10 years old and I didn't really have that many pals knocking about, and there was this one kid who was like a true brother to me, and he didn't last that long. He was like, I was mostly 10 years old during 2016, but I turned 11 in September, and so I was mostly 10, and my mate was like 9 years old when he passed away, and it happened all in March, and I just went into a big depression during that time. So it really did fuck up the entire year for me. Like I was unable to get a joy out of life, and we did return back to Florida that year, but it wasn't as good as the first time we went back in 2015. So yeah, 2016, that's a year that I do not want to go back to. In fact, there wasn't really much there that I remotely loved or felt nostalgic for about 2016. It was just a big grey cloud. So yeah, I just want to get rid of this one. All right, 2017. Now, 2017, yeah, like my depression lasted for about 14 months. So my depression started in March 2016 and ended in 2017, May 2017. And because in the month of May of 2017, we went to a place called Dubai. And Dubai, honest to God, it was epic. Like what made it nostalgic about Dubai was watched the Peanuts for the first time. You know, that movie that was made by Blue Sky. And every time I think of Dubai, I always picture the Peanuts song along with it. It's just fits so perfectly. And it wasn't just Dubai. It was also that trip to New York that was nostalgic for. I mean, I became a fan of DuckTales around the same time. And so yeah, 2017 was actually actually it brightened up the year for me, and I was not depressed anymore. So 2017 was actually a really good year, and I loved it. I liked it. It did have ups and downs along the way, but for the most part, it was just fine. Oh my God, 2018. Now, I'm going to be straightforward with all of yous. This is got to be by far the best year I've ever been alive in. I'm not joking. I'm not being over dramatic, but this is the best year I've ever been alive in. I can't think of a better year than 2018. This year, just the amount of stuff I seen that year, the amount of stuff I did that year, the songs I listened to, is all part of what made this year great. Like Deadpool 2 just stole the year for me and made it great. There was How to Train Your Dragon, which I haven't watched in 10 years. And there was a certain day, the 30th of June, is the most nostalgic day of my life. Like I did two things that was dead memorable. Like I went to this place in the Wirral, just east of where I live, and it's called Blue Planet Aquarium, which I haven't been to since 2010, and I returned to it. And then the following afternoon, I went to see Walking with Dinosaurs Live Spectacular in Liverpool. So yeah, that's and I've never seen that Walking with Dinosaurs since 2012. And then there was a few other stuff. It wasn't just that. There was like the Jones Sodas, the Kool-Aid, the Goosebumps, which I watched on Netflix. Not the movie, but the show. And there was several other things like Alf the Alien stuff that just made it. Oh my God! And there was my YouTube channel. Became a fan of anime that year. Honest to God, lads, I can just go on forever with 2018. It was such a special year, and I really don't ever want to erase this year. I don't want to erase it. I don't want to forget about it. I really, really want to go back to it so bad. All right, now 2019. 2019, this is when stuff went downhill. Now, I started the new class with my mate, which I've known since 2017, and we still talk to one another. I'm not gonna say his name or nothing, but he never spoke to me throughout the entire year of 2019, and that's the thing that really did bug me the most. Like I did feel dead lonely in 2019, and I was a dead anxious person at the time. Like that was the reason why I was dead antisocial. Because me mate, he wasn't speaking to me, and every time I tried to make a conversation with him, he'll just ignore what I say, don't reply back, and then bloody carry on talking to the person he was just talking to. And so it wasn't just him, it was also most of the other kids. Like they were all sort of like treating me like shit and talking behind my back. And Really did. And the one of the other worst parts about 2019 is because I had my YouTube channel, I wanted to like focus more on that and get more used to it. But then I was doing all sorts of shit that I did not really want to do, and it like got in the way of me work and getting me dead exhausted and shit. So what do I have to say about 2019? Yeah, I'm putting it in a race. Like there was like just like 2016, there wasn't really much there that I loved about 2019. It was just an awful, embarrassing, pathetic year, and I don't ever want to revisit it. Hey, now 2020. Now, I have a lot to say about 2020. Like, this has been regarded as the most controversial year in history. But I just think that's a bit far-fetched in comparison to all the other years that we've had, like 1918, and of the area of the Plague Doctors. Like, what I'm about to say, yeah, may shock most of yous, but and please, if what I'm about to say, if I'm just please do not, when I say it, do not give me death threats or anything like that when I say this, but I loved 2020. I am not being sarcastic. I fucking love 2020. And before you give me any death threats or bashing me opinion, just please hear me out. I love this year. And to be fair, COVID killing people is obviously not pleasant, and we can all agree with that. But in my personal view, the lockdown was. Now, remember when I said that in 2019, I wasn't getting enough time to do me stop motion, or like me kids weren't really that nice. When COVID happened, I was kind of worried. But when I learned that it was mostly targeting elderly and the sick, it did make sense to me. And so in the end, I just never really had to worry about it. But I did have to worry about me my grandparents because one of them had a disease. So I understood when the lockdown happened. I understood the rules, and I could just call him on my phone anytime I wanted. So I was more anxious about him than anything else. But surprisingly, not a single person in my family caught the year, or anyone who I ever knew in general never caught the virus that year. So in the end, it just never really would to me. And so the main reason for why I love 2020 so much is because at the amount of time I had spent during this year. Like I had more time to spend. I was absolutely happy when I heard me teacher say we're going into lockdown. We're not going to come back to school until September. I was just so pleased to hear that, and because of the hiatus that I had in 2019, it just felt like a dream come true. So I knew from that point that I was going to get to do whatever I wanted to do. So just spent most of my days in my room doing my stop motion. And not only did it improve me time and energy, but it also like me subscribers creeped up from 20 to 70, like very drastically. And I was getting more fans, and I will be naming these fans: Riley Stewart, TS Wrestling, and many others. And then there was not just that, there was also the holidays that I had, the songs, the movies, and all that. Like Dorohedoro stole the year for me. Like that anime was ungodly real. I fucking love Dorohedoro, man. And then there was like Mountain Monsters, which I became a fan of. There was a few other songs. Like I became a fan of both classical and pop 1970s pop music. Other good thing about this year, there's that I went to Scotland for the very first time, visited Loch Ness, and honest to God, it was the most nostalgic memory of my life, and I do love to go back to that year. There was also the Lake Districts. I went to Lake Windermere after 13 years. Then there was on my old school, like I revisited I went to Lake Windermere in 2013. And the last time I ever went to my old school was 2013 as well. So you can definitely understand where my nostalgia hit hard. So what do I have to say about 2020? Yeah, that is going right in front of 2018. Like I'm not being, that is my honest opinion right there. I don't care if it's controversial, but please, yeah, please don't be commenting down using the death rate as an excuse to call it a bad year. Because please, I've got a reason to love it. I've given you my reasoning. And just please, I understand it if you've lost someone that year. I can totally understand it, but yeah, just don't bash my opinion on this. I've got a reason to love it. So yeah, 2020 was one of my second favourite years of all time, and I'll stand by that. Now 2021, this is when, just like 2019, this year went downhill. So 2021, I'm just going to put it in there purely because there wasn't really much there that I loved about it. Well, technically there was, because there was one at the very end of the year in October where I went to the BFI in London, and it became one of the most nostalgic memories. Like, it was the only good thing about 2021, but the rest of it, like the very beginning, yeah, was kind of upsetting, but also like very hard for me because I actually got into an altercation with a kid. And being a 15-year-old boy, I just never really fighted back, and I don't even know why I did, but in hindsight, I should have fucking hit him back. Like, that's that's what part of what fucked up the year for me, mostly. 2022. Now, this 2022 is a year that I really wanted to like. Like, I wanted to love this year so bad because I became a fan of three things that year: The Fat Rat, Gorillaz, and Smiling Friends. They stole a year from me and made it great. And there was also Jamaica. I went to Jamaica for the first time, visited Bob Marley's house and all that. Then there was a few other things, like one of my videos on my YouTube channel got increased to 1k views, and that was the first ever time in 4 years I ever got 1k views. It was just an eye-opener, and my subscribers went all the way from 200 so fast, and it was just amazing. Now, these are the things that made 2022 great, but the downside with 2022 would be the end of the year. Like in December, I mean, no, like I had my first job experience in December, and that was cool. But what wasn't cool is my granddad. Like, my granddad, he passed away in December of 2022 from an illness. It wasn't COVID. It was a other illness that he's had for years. So it was like, I mean, I've got two granddads, one with a kidney illness and one with a lung illness. The one with the lung illness is gone now. He's the one who's dead now, and he was 80 years old at the time. So yeah, I'm not going to see him again, and that was why. Like, it wasn't really as depressing as 2016 was. Like 2016, I was a child, like back in that day, but here I was a 17-year-old boy at the time. So right now it does take a lot for me to cry, and I never cried until I went to the funeral. So yeah, 2022, I'm just going to put it, for all the good stuff, like this year was mostly good, but I really like to put it at the top list, but because of that one fateful incident, I'm just going to put it here. Like, it wasn't too much of a bad year, but yeah, it's just a good year. Right, now 2023, this is the one that I have the least to say about, and this one, it's only just began 2023, so I'm just going to put it in okay. So far, it's been good so far, but it hasn't fully ended, so that's why I've put it in okay. Alright, now that is my tier list, and hopefully we get people who agree and disagree, and if you agree, that's alright, and if you disagree, then that's also okay. But that was just my personal view on all these years, and hopefully most of you can understand why I like them and why I hate them and all that. So yes, that's me out.